Welcome back to the Quiet on Set podcast. I'm Young Graff, and as always, I'm joined by Lachlan Teely.
On episode 190, as we edge ever closer to episode 200, I start to realize that we live in a news cycle simulation because, my God, do we have so much news for you today.
So much news. Some gaming news from Nintendo, some gaming news from ourselves, Quiet on Set. We got a crazy box office run of Inside Out. The continuous disappointment that is The Acolyte. Where do we stand on The Boys and House of the Dragon? And then I got some indie darlings like I Used to Be Funny, The Beast, and Fancy Dance to talk about.
Finally, did y'all see the TV glow when you were younger? I think, in fact, we can all kind of relate to this film because it's quite nostalgic that we're going to talk about today. In fact, I think we might also quite possibly be the last people that could feel nostalgic from this film. That's a weird thing to say. Fuck, I can't wait to talk about today's film, actually. I saw the TV glow. We both caught it this week. There's a decent chunk to talk about with this film. Yeah, we'll get into that later on in the episode.
Looking forward to it. So let's keep the intro, get into the show. We are
Obviously,
professionals.
This is a professional podcast.
Yes. Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul. Hello there. Which actually,
Did you
this
get
is gonna
me a
be
hat
a
as
bit,
well?
Yes.
So I've got Dooncam. It's just a camera with my Dune steelbook.
All right, welcome back, Lachlan. Like you said, lots of news to talk about, and House of the Dragon. It's TV season. We got so many new shows. Next week we are getting the third season of I was about to say The Boys, but it's The Bear. The bees are out. First up, I do want to talk about some gaming news. After Summer Game Fest has wrapped, Nintendo stepped into the limelight and was like, hold our controllers, I guess. Hold our really tiny little controllers that are made for baby hands. We're not going to announce a new console yet. The Switch 2, the Switch U, the Switch is never going to get to you. I don't know what it's going to be called. Switch around. I don't know. Or just Snap. The Snap could be. And we're all going to get decimated. Like half of the universe is just going to get the remainder of the Switches and the rest just dies. I don't know what Nintendo has in store, but they had a couple of things to announce that were pretty exciting at this year's Direct. Now, I'm the bigger Nintendo fan between the two of us, right? That's pretty, safe to say, right?
That's a fact. That's like a hard fact.
There's Pikachu right there. A stuffy Pikachu in the background. They didn't announce anything alongside, I guess, Pokemon or Pikachu, because it feels like they are pretty much on the same course as Call of Duty. It's just churning one out every year or so. But we got very exciting news for the Legend of Zelda universe. Now, some people are going to hate it. Those who hate everything that is woke, that is women-led. But Zelda is going to take the center stage for this upcoming Toon Link-ish Zelda game that for the first time ever in The Legend of Zelda, you're going to play as Zelda and not as Link in Echoes of Wisdom, where she's not really fighting, but she has this ability to copy stuff and use enemies as she defeats them on their own as like what do you call them? Not I was about to say summaries, but summons is what it's called. Lachlan, are you interested in? I forget if you played the most recent Tears of the Kingdom Zelda game, but are you interested in this game?
I didn't play the most recent one because it runs like ass on the Switch, so
it does. Yeah,
I don't want to play a game that runs like ass like that. I'm not super interested in this one in particular. To be honest, I actually haven't seen it just yet. I've got more interesting games in this lineup that I'm more interested in.
Let's get. By the way, it has a similar aesthetic to the 3DS Zelda games, like A Link Between Worlds, and it's been crazy that one's already it's been over a decade since that one came out, and I can remember picking it up from the store. And yeah, it's been a couple of years, I guess. But yeah, what else is exciting to you from this Nintendo Direct?
If you want to know one, okay, what is it?
It's Metroid Prime 4 Beyond, right?
You are correct.
Yeah.
There has been radio silence on this game for years, and then just they drop a gameplay trailer, and I'm just hyped as all hell. So yeah, did you play the most recent Metroid game, the Metroid Dread one? Not the remaster.
I haven't played any of them, to be honest.
Okay. You haven't played Metroid games. Game. Okay.
No.
Okay.
Yeah, the thing is, the more you notice...
I'm a Nintendo fan. Sorry.
I also don't own them. Well, there was another thing that I was excited about. We can jump back to Metroid, but Donkey Kong Country Returns HD, when I was live streaming my reaction to it, and I flipped out and until I like a split second later realized that it was just an HD like remaster of it, and I was quite disappointed because I played the shit out of that game when it came out in 2010. And we're getting it early next year, January 16th, the Donkey Kong Country Returns HD remake. And I'm still going to replay it, but that's my bread and butter. That one and Tropical Freeze, I really like completed them, I think at like 200%, where you run through the whole game with like a single heart, that type of stuff. I'm a huge fan of Donkey Kong, and I'm waiting for another 2D game. It's been, feels like a decade. Probably hasn't been a decade yet, but that's what I'm looking for. I'm really not into anything where you need to shoot something. Really not into shooting games, even if it's just Metroid and it's 2D, or I guess with the Prime series, it's right. The Prime series is all like 3D. Is that true?
Metroid is not a shooting game.
I know, but
that's like
I know
me
that's
going,
not the main focus.
you like playing kids games because you're playing Nintendo games.
But you're shooting something, and like that to me was like not a turn off. I just never got around to playing Metroid.
Okay,
but
you should.
I feel like with this, yeah, I feel like they are games that are so beloved still, not just for nostalgia's sake, but because they're so well made that even in the 2020s you can revisit them, and they should still be pretty fun to play. And I might do that before the release of this one. I assume probably like late in 2025. I assume this is gonna be like the October, November release likely. And then yeah, 2 other games were announced. The new Mario Party game. I mean, like I feel like they got a pretty good one when they had the one that was basically a collection of the best mini games for a lot of different boards. They had a good one there with the games at least. I don't think the board games haven't been anything since I think 4 or 5. Been pretty much letdowns, and maybe this is fun. It has some online aspects to it as well. And Mario and Luigi Brothership, which is an interesting title. Not brotherhood.
New word.
Yeah, Brothership. I don't know what that's supposed to mean. Yeah, Mario and Luigi. I played I think 1 or 2 of those games on my DS. Really long time ago. I don't really remember much of the story or anything, but I remember it being fun. I think like button mashing and timing is important in that one. And yeah, I might check out this new one. As like we don't really get we don't get any handheld games anymore for the 3DS. They've stopped doing that, so it's all for the Switch now. And yeah, later in the year we'll get the announcements of whatever the next console is going to be for Nintendo. I don't see them, Lachlan, I feel like you agree with this, don't see them like stepping on the toes of Xbox or PS5 when it comes to the power. And in the Direct, they had a couple of trailers that they showed from like a Lego Horizon, or they had that Stray game with the cat that you're playing that came out last year. And especially the Stray game looked so bad on the Switch. It's like, why would you ever, if I guess if you don't have the other consoles or a PC, you would go with that one. But it's just like the lesser experience of the two. So yeah, Donkey Kong though can look pretty
it's an interesting statement, because yes, they will not compete with the power that the Xbox and the PlayStation has, but
you're porting the games.
I think that
why?
What's very important to remember though is in this generation of consoles, it's not necessarily the hardware that's winning, it's the software, it's the experience. And I think that one thing we need to remember is that the Nintendo Switch has been one of the best-selling consoles this entire generation, right? Because of the games that they have available on their system. Then we have, the Switch, right? Then we have a new generation of consoles come out, Xbox, PlayStation, and Xbox's entire thing is dead. Like, the Xbox is essentially dead this generation compared to what the PlayStation is. That's because of how good the first-party games have been. But also, you can get pretty much all of the Xbox games on PC. And now you're going to get Xbox games on PlayStation. The Switch hasn't had a competitor until very, very recently. And now it's really interesting to say the Switch doesn't really have a competitor because they're not competing against traditional consoles. They're competing now with these guys who are making really good handhelds that are able to play PC games. This can play AAA games that were on the PlayStation 3 era, even PlayStation 4. Fuck, I can play Red Dead on this thing as long as I've got the settings set correctly. They've got top competition now, and that means they need to step up with their hardware, which is really going to be super interesting to see what they do. So power doesn't necessarily mean everything, but you can get a lot of power in a small package these days. In fact, you can play the new Assassin's Creed games and the new Resident Evil games on an iPhone.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous. So yeah, we might not be trying to compete with the PlayStations and the Sonys, but Nintendo could possibly be in a brawl with the handheld gaming things like Steam Decks and Allies and whatnot.
But what they hold has always been software. I feel like that's been the long thing for Nintendo, and that's why they haven't really been that caught up with.
And I mean,
in these console wars,
Metroid 4 is a 2025 release, which probably means it's going to be a Switch 1 and 2 cross-platform release, which means they've got a massive first-party game ready to rock and roll, similar to what they did with The Legend of Zelda. It was Wii U and the Switch, right? And it ran terribly on the Wii U versus the Switch. Now we've got what is it? Breath of the Two Towers, whatever it's called. The second one.
Tears of the Kingdom.
Yeah, cool. Tears of the Wild.
No, Kingdom.
Sorry. Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. You've got that game that doesn't run really well on the Switch right now, but possibly on the next generation runs really well. So, yeah. It's an interesting space.
Do you think that they maybe wanted to have that same thing with Zelda again, but the console wasn't ready for the release of like Tears?
I reckon they would have wanted it to be ready, and I think that it's a continuation. And okay, I lie. I've opened up and I've booted up Legend of Zelda. Okay, I've played like the opening sequence, and it runs pretty terribly for all of these new innovative things that they've done. And the thing is, the past couple Zelda games have been really innovative. I don't know. Fuck it, whatever.
I think it's innovative.
Words are hard. That's why Nintendo doesn't really do words in their games. They just do like the weird like, and then they just subtitle over it. But they do really cool innovations. So yeah, it's all software based. Yada yada yada. Give me Metroid Prime already, please.
And I'm looking forward to that new Zelda game, which I think I said, maybe I didn't say. It's out September 26th. So
oh shit, that's soon.
We're like, boom, here's a new Zelda game. And while I was like seeing the thing unfold as it was happening, I was like, there's no shot this game comes out in 2024. This is like later 25, and they're like, nope, it's out in 3 months. So that's great. They don't have, I don't see that they have like a big end of the year release so far. So I'm wondering what they got for November or December, because at the moment they have Mario Party middle of October and then end of September Zelda, but we'll have to wait and see. Then my two favorite people in the world, Ethan Hawke and Richard Linklater, are reuniting for the 9th time to make a movie called Blue Moon. It's also co-starring Margaret Qualley, Bobby Cannavale, and Andrew Scott. And Sony has already acquired the rights to the film. So they've been working on this project for over a decade, I think. And it's basically a story written by screenwriter and novelist Robert Kaplow, who's the author of the novel Me and Orson Welles, which inspired like the film that Linklater made that has the same name. And this film is going to profile the final days of Lawrence Hart, who's part of a hit songwriting team, Rodgers and Hart. And the film is going to be set primarily in Sadi's restaurant on March 31st in 1943, at the opening night of Oklahoma, which marked Rodgers' first collaboration with Oscar Hammerstein as Hart's replacement. So a bit of a bottle setting, and not a bottle episode, right? That's for TV, but a bottle type setting in one location for the master of dialogue and vibes, like Richard Linklater. To be honest, I'm excited about everything he touches, especially like that other project that he has with Paul Mescal that he's going to be filming for like the next decade and a half. I'm interested. Like, I don't know how big a fan you are of Linklater and just anticipating what's coming up, and if this premise gives you enough. But what do you think?
Similar to how you're a massive Nintendo fan and I just play some of their games, I think it's the same situation where you are a bigger Linklater fan and I just like to watch some of his movies.
There's before.
Yeah, literally, it's all blurred out.
Before-
Can't see it.
No, that's before sunrise. That's before midnight, and I think somewhere there is like before sunset.
In between all of
but
your
yeah.
Nintendo figurines, of course. Yeah.
Yeah, I actually used to own a couple of amiibos. Yeah, it's embarrassing.
Yeah, I know.
But I don't display them in the background. That
Of course,
would be
of course. Yeah, that would be terrible, wouldn't it?
Not a business expense. All right, they're a regrettable expense.
Of course, yeah.
But yeah, that's that. I'm looking forward to it. I mean, it's gonna take a while until that actually comes up, but it's nice. It's already got backing from Sony there, which they value the cinematic experience. Buying the Alamo Drafthouse, we talked about that last week, and I guess they also got Crunchyroll, so they're into anime. This has nothing to do with Richard Linklater, but it just means that maybe it gets more of a theatrical run compared to Hitman, which was acquired for the States and some English international markets by Netflix. So yeah, with Sony, I feel like it's in a better place. Then your homeland boys, Danny and Michael Philippou, have parted ways with homeland. I don't know. I'm in the mind of the boys. I was always a Homelander, but no, they're no longer directing the Street Fighter movie. This is mainly not because there were creative differences. At least it doesn't appear to be. It's mainly due to scheduling issues because they will be working on their next movie together with A24, Bring Her Back with Sally Hawkins, that is going to begin shooting later this month in Australia. And then they also have the sequel to Talk to Me, which is called Talk to Me. So yeah, Lachlan, any thoughts on this news?
Yeah, find someone else. It would have been great if they could have done it. I reckon they would have nailed it, but whatever.
I feel like the boys will have work lined up for the foreseeable future as long as they want to direct.
Yeah.
And at least, if their next thing isn't like a total bust, but I doubt it because they do have a ton of talent and fresh new voices that can hopefully deliver on another banger. But I still have the poster hung up. I'm just in a different part of the room, so it's not in background anymore. That's that. Then, Lachlan, were you also surprised? Were you following the crazy box office run that Inside Out 2 was having?
I wasn't following it closely, no, but I did see some little big moments for it. Yeah.
I mean, it was quite surprising because early trackings came in, this year, the summer box office has been quite low. Bad Boys Ride or Die has done fairly well, at least comparatively to what else has released this year. And this one was tracking around like 90 million for its domestic opening in the States, and it blew past that. And I think it made, what was it, like 150 or 160 million in the States alone. Had a huge opening. I think as we speak, it's around 430 something million that is already grossed internationally. It's had the biggest digital animation opening ever, only behind The Incredibles 2, which also opened in June. June, I guess, is a pretty popular release date window for Pixar. And also for Jurassic World, which makes this the third biggest opening in June ever. Only Jurassic World, that first one, had a bigger opening in 2015. Currently, as I was typing this, it is still at the sixth highest grossing film of 2024 so far, worldwide. That includes Dune 2 at the top, Godzilla, Kong, Kung Fu Panda 4, and then two Chinese films, YOLO and Pegasus 2. And then, soon after we got Inside Out 2 and Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. And I feel like it's likely going to be the first $1 billion grosser of the year. Some people were thinking that maybe Deadpool and Wolverine is the one that could say there's a bit of a revival that gets brought back into the box office, but we got it early with an animated film. And maybe that's a carryover of, that pretty bad opening that Elemental had, and then it was in theaters for months and months and months, and ended up growing like $500 million as well, or maybe even more than that. I think it closed at like 550 or something like that. And yeah, it seems to have carried over the momentum to this next one. Any thoughts on this? Like, is box office as a whole for Pixar? Do you think this like is more telling about there was a lot of interest for Inside Out for the sequel, or maybe for the box office as a whole? Yeah, what do you think, Lachlan?
It's a hard one, eh?
Yeah. So what's the future of the film business? Answer in one sentence. Thoughts.
All right. Here's the answer, Ewan. Find the first.
Yeah, that we're all waiting for.
Find the first movie in that top 10 that's not a sequel.
Well, it's those two Chinese films, so I guess that's the future. No,
There you
I
go.
think YOLO is not a sequel. YOLO is the one film where the actress, I think, lost a bunch of weight in the progress of shooting the film. She also did another. She has like the highest grossing female directed film ever. Something Mother, I think.
Yep.
I watched that one and I really didn't like it. I thought it was pretty shit. But hey, there's an audience for it, obviously. Yeah, I guess it takes a while until you get to the Garfield movie, I guess. But that's a franchise movie. Bob Marley, if it's the first like truly original film,
Yeah.
I'd say in here. And The Fall Guy. No, The Fall Guy is also sort of
Based
sequel
off of
with
something.
that. Yeah.
The Beekeeper?
I guess. The Beekeeper, where is that? It's further down, I
Civil
assume.
War?
Where is that one? Oh, The Beekeeper, number 17. Yeah, Civil War. It's nice to see that still in the top 20. I mean, Madam Web, of course, is I feel like it's a sequel, but it also stands alone by itself because it's so great.
Yep.
So, and then Mean Girls, obviously. I don't know any other movie that's called Mean Girls, so it's got to be original.
Of course.
So your point being, sequels is what makes more money. So that's why Pixar does sequels. Yep.
Valid.
Yeah, it is. It is. I mean, that's fair, but I feel like you got to have original ideas that warrant a sequel. Otherwise, like, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? You're gonna run out of like steam at some point. What was crazy about like the tracking that it came in for like 90 million, then was like 150, was that about like 60% of the tickets that were purchased weren't pre-purchased, and with a lot of these big movies like Deadpool and Wolverine, all of the Marvel stuff, a ton of the fans actually like they buy the stuff way ahead of time as soon as like the ticket sales open, and it wasn't really happening with this one. That's why it was so hard to track. And yeah, a bit of an anomaly, but positive for the banks and the box office overall. So that's the banks. I mean, the bank of the box office, not the banks. I don't give a shit about how the banks are doing. The Russo brothers are back in the news for something truly bizarre. Speaking of making bank, here's them spending bank. The Electric States, the next film that they're producing for Netflix, reportedly has a budget of $300 million. It stars Millie Bobby Brown, Chris Pratt, Ke Huy Quan, Giancarlo Esposito, Anthony Mackie, and Brian Cox. Yeah, they did The Gray Man. And they did The Gray Man. There was nothing more to say. They did The Gray Man, I guess. And I guess they're getting another big budget. This is a bit of a downfall. I feel like their community stuff was always like a ton of fun with the episodes they directed. They got to do bigger stuff with an ensemble, with the Avengers. Had a huge run there in 2018 and 19. And now I don't know what the fuck they're doing. They seem to be on a bit of a high horse with like demanding or being able to demand like huge budgets for, I guess, the type of films that they've done before, but they don't deliver on any good product anymore. And I think one of them is also pretty positively talking about AI and stuff like that. So it's like, bit of an iffy situation there. But yeah, what do you think about another $300 million production from Netflix? I'm sure it's going to be worth it.
So I totally thought Netflix was going away from the big budget stuff and the auteur stuff and was going to start investing in other things.
Yes, but I guess maybe that's just after this one. It's like one more purchase. Buy now, pay later type of deal.
It's weird. It's weird. I'm going to be a little bit biased because I really like the graphic novel of The Electric State.
Yeah. I'm not familiar. So what's it about?
The imagery is the main thing that I'm stuck on.
Oh, okay.
If you just look at the imagery of Electric State, or even Tales from the Loop, because they did do a Netflix adaptation not Netflix, Amazon Prime adaptation, I believe, of Tales from the Loop, and it's a post-apocalyptic imagery of these gigantic robotic creatures laying in this barren wasteland. It is one of my favorite types of images. It's just a fucking incredible just look to it and feel to it. And essentially, it's like the story is like a road trip film, right? So
Yeah.
or like a road trip film in a way. But it's just there's so much here to work with visually, narratively, thematically, and you've got the Russo brothers working on it. What was the last thing the Russo brothers made?
I feel I got it connected with Tom Holland, which isn't the thing that they did last. That was that Apple
Jerry,
TV
was
stuff.
that it?
No, that was a while ago. I think The Gray Man, and then after that, it's let me look it up real quick.
The Gray Man. Then they produced Everything Everywhere All at Once. But the last thing that they directed was The Gray Man.
Yeah, it was the last thing.
And then they had producing and writing credits on Extraction 2 and executive producers on All Fun and Games. And now we get them back in the directing chair at the Electric State, but not written by them, which is also quite interesting in my opinion.
I mean, they haven't written most of their stuff. If you look at it, it's just Joe Russo, who's a writer, and then Anthony is more just directing. Yeah, I don't know. It's hard to say. Like, obviously, looking at the visuals, this could be an exciting world. But then the cast is like Millie Bobby Brown and Chris Pratt seems to be the most uninspired casting I could think of.
Yeah,
and I gotta say, Giancarlo Esposito is getting over. Like, I'm looking out and it's cloudy because this guy is overcast. It's crazy how many productions he's in. I'm sorry. Hey, that wasn't bad. That wasn't bad.
Oh my god, I just wasn't ready for it, man.
And Ke Kwan, I'm really happy for him being in more projects. I don't even care if they're shit, just that he gets to do more and more work when he's been struggling so long to get it. Who gives a fuck if it's a bad project? Get the bag. But the rest of it is just like, to me, I don't know. And then our last bit of news, really sad news for an iconic an iconic actor passing away. Donald Sutherland passed away at 88. I wasn't aware that he already was like up in his 80s. Not like he looked incredibly young. I just didn't see him as someone who might be sick and pass away soon. And he had over 200 acting credits to his name. And I just wanted to give a bit of a spotlight into his filmography and maybe talk about like a favorite performance of his. Do you have like a film that stands out to you? Although, like, for me, he has those 200 acting credits. I've seen about, I feel like, a bit more than a dozen. I think like 15 films that he's been in. So it's not like I'm the most well-versed in his filmography, but yeah, Lachlan, what about you?
Yeah. Probably the only thing that I really remember him from was MASH when I watched that. Like, other than that, I mean, The Hunger Games is pretty much the only other thing I remember him in. I haven't seen Body Snatchers. It was in Ad Astra, but I don't remember him being in that.
Yeah, I feel like he has had a lot of like secondary roles in the background, and roles where I've really appreciated him was in Don't Look Now, where he had one of the lead roles, or he was the male lead, and then in Invasion of the Body Snatchers, which I'd say is the best film of his that I've seen. And that's a David Cronenberg film. Sorry, that's not a David Cronenberg film. That's a Philip Kaufman film. I feel like there's a couple of good things that beyond what most people are familiar with him as President Snow in those type of films. He's had a really long and big career with a lot of different things that he's done. Like, I haven't seen JFK myself. I don't know if he plays like a bigger role in that or a smaller one. But yeah, a legacy that is left behind, but certainly not forgotten and very much appreciated. But yeah, we don't have any quick news this week, just because all of the stuff that we wanted to talk about, I just wanted to yap a bit, okay? Sorry, you gotta forgive me for that. But let's have a look at some of the trailers that came out this week. And first up, the beloved Sundance hit A Real Pain got picked up by Searchlight. And, it was on their big release thing that they usually did for Marvel. It had like a real pain right next to some of the other Marvel releases, right next to Deadpool and Wolverine. It was kind of funny to see that that was real. But they have it up there, and I only heard good things about this movie, and I'm really looking forward to it. Watching the trailer, I feel like there's got to be a lot in there that is emotional, that is effective, a solid, really good drama. Did you get the same vibes, or?
Yeah, it looks good. I'm
Yep.
really keen to see Kieran Culkin a little bit more. I loved him in
Succession.
Succession. I don't know why I was about to say Monument, but in Succession, I think that was like a really good, not breakout, but like get out of like the rut that he's in and getting similar to like other actors. They have like their big break and they're like, now they're in everything. So having him in this looks really cool. And obviously, Jesse Eisenberg is, Jesse Eisenberg, and he's just Jesse Eisenberg in everything he does, even if he's in a giant Bigfoot outfit, so whatever. But I'm kind of keen. I wouldn't mind like a little drama. I wouldn't mind something little tiny right now. We've had a lot of big movies this year, a lot of big stuff. Give me something. Give me like a little drama.
The tiny good thing. We've
had little dramas, We've had like Evil Doesn't Exist, which is like literally like a movie that this like is so like nothing happens and it's like cool.
But a straight up drama. I don't think we
have
had a I don't think we had a standout like just straight up a drama film yet this year that really resonated with us.
Yeah.
So yeah, looking forward to it. Because like Challenges was more than that. And then as soon as I get into more stuff, then I'll mention the gun things, and I don't want to flex on you, or already too late to flex on you. I'm sorry. I wasn't Gun this year. I'm sorry. Okay. Then there was a trailer for the sequel of Smile, and I forget if you ever ended up watching that first one, because I certainly didn't recommend it to you. So no. I assume you didn't.
I don't think I watched it.
And yeah, it's a pretty basic, I guess, horror premise where you sort of get possessed, similar to like Talk to Me, but less interesting, if I'm being honest. And it's just supposed to be creepy because they're smiling and then they kill themselves. That movie is out on the same day that The Real Pain is out, October 18th. I didn't like the first one. The actor who plays A-Train was the boyfriend of the lead character in the first Smile. Here we get Naomi. Now I'm blanking on her name. I had it a second ago. Naomi Scott. And her she's most well known for her portrayal of Jasmine in Aladdin, in the Guy Ritchie live action one. Certainly her an interesting lead to have like a pop star, because I feel like it was alluded to in the first one, sorry, spoilers there, that you could basically transfer it to like everyone else. But I don't know if that was even that movie, or if I'm conflating that with another horror premise where it was like something where you pass it on to someone else. I'm not that interested. Lachlan, the trailer, did it get you? Did it get you hyped? Also, this could be happening. Wait, Smile 2 happens while that Trap happens. She's the star that they go to see.
I thought it was a trailer for Trap when I first saw it, but yeah, it turns out it's not. Look, I have said recently that horror movies have been on my radar, and unfortunately this isn't one that's got me that interested just yet. I am still waiting because there will be Longlegs releasing very soon.
Mid of July.
Very soon, and I haven't seen any sort of review.
The reviews? It's going to play at a film festival in Switzerland early this month, Maxine as well. So I'm going to be checking out some of those, and we got basically 3 horror movies sorta in the next couple of weeks. A Quiet Place is more thriller than it is a horror film, but we'll talk about that next week. The week after we're doing Maxine, and then Longlegs. So we're in for a treat when it comes to horror.
I think the embargo has dropped because seems people have seen Longlegs already, and I've already gotten one review on Longlegs, and it is positive.
Very nice. Confirmed good movie off of one dude. So that's great. Or it might be a woman. We don't know. But yeah, looking forward to chatting about that. Smile 2, I don't think it has us excited. Then we got another A24 trailer with The Front Room that releases September 6th. It has that in the trailer it has said no, Johnny, like the cliche French song that they play that like is the only one that Americans also know seemingly. I didn't really know what to make of this one. Lachlan, did you have thoughts of the front room? On the front room?
I really liked the trailer. We've got a problem here.
Recording?
The hard drive disconnected. You're
Oh,
fucking kidding me.
Oh no. And you're not
Oh,
recording
no.
on TV.
No, 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 no. Oh, fuck, brother. 1 sec.
And we should be back.
Yeah. Have you
Back.
sync clapped?
Please. Yeah, well. Stupid.
Cool. All right. We were at the front room. Okay, so after this
stupid
technical pause,
drive.
Lachlan is very mad, as you can see him for the first time.
These are fucking stupid.
He's grabbing. I don't know. That one wasn't connected. We had an audio issue, so up to I guess this point, you weren't able to see Lachlan, unfortunately. Now he was doing backflips, and while I was just rambling, he was just in the background entertaining him with backflips and backflips. So for the pain that he just went through, sorry about that. But we were talking about the front room, and you were about to go into why you think that trailer looked kind of interesting.
Yeah, my train of thought is all gone, but I liked the feel of it. I liked the dynamic between the mother wife and the elderly lady. I just was kind of having fun, you know, like I don't know what it is. I was just having a bit of fun, and I can see some fun like character dynamics happening in here, and just kind of being outrageous, and I'm kind of in for it.
Yeah, I'm not really there yet for it, but maybe a second trailer will get me more excited. And A24 is not really always a quality seal for every single thing. But yeah, this is not a drama that might be interesting. Lastly, we do have another trailer for Penguin, or The Penguin. I don't know. I think it's The Penguin, because all of these Batman and Jason movies now have to have a D in front of it. This comes out September on Max, formerly known as HBO Max, and it's just Max now. Like, and you said something about like the visuals in that one being a bit off.
Yeah, it looked like it was out of focus. It looked like it was almost like a 3D movie without the glasses on. There was just a weird visual style to it that, look, I don't hate, but I was just kind of curious the entire time looking at it, being like, why have you decided to go with that as how it looks? Because I don't remember the Batman having the same look to it, but yeah.
Yeah. Well, doesn't the comic book version of the Penguin usually like wear what are they called? Monocle? And
oh
maybe
my
you
god!
Need that for the whole movie to be
If
in
the
focus.
movie is like this the entire way until he puts a
series.
monocle on, I swear to God, I'll be real pissed.
That'd be funny.
I think that it's a lot more prominent towards the end of the trailer. The middle to the end of the trailer, you definitely see a lot more characters, and you can definitely see how it looks like it's shot slightly out of focus for whatever reason. But yeah, it's got a weird look to it. But maybe that weird look is exactly what it needs.
Maybe it's just that Max uploaded this in a weird quality thing, or I don't know. Maybe it's something like that. Or do you think it's actually like a focusing problem? Because like sometimes you get that, especially with modern projectors and how sharp they are, when something is shown again that was shot on film, and you can see that like for parts of it they were just fully out of focus. And even with like more modern productions, that still happens. Yeah. We'll have to wait and see. Again, I feel like this was quietly pushed back. I thought that this had a way earlier release date, and it's been so long since the Batman. Like, remember our first ever video episode that went online? I think we did the one before as well. Was like an 2.5 hour long episode on the Batman. We did like a really long recording, and that was our first video episode. So it's been a long time since that first movie came out. And I think the next one comes out next year, or like in 2026. So yeah, wait and see if this one's any good. But it's out in a couple of months anyway. But that wraps it up for the news this week. If you want to support us, you can leave a rating on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify, on your podcast app of choice. And if you're watching on video, for mostly video, I guess it wasn't as much video on Lachlan's side for this. For the rest of the episode, he'll be here. All right, you don't have to look at my face only the whole time. But yeah, you can subscribe is what I'm getting at on YouTube, and leave a like, maybe share it, whatever you want. Do that. And then I also want to give a shout out to our new channels. We have decided I got so excited with Summer Games Fest. I was like, gaming is so back. Gaming is so fun, and we want to make it a bigger part of what we do here as well. And there's new channels out for that. You can follow us on Twitch. You can follow Quiet on Set Gaming for those playthrough videos, for some cut down stuff and of our live streams, and for game reviews as well. And then we got the VODs channel, so you're not missing out. If you don't want to go on Twitch, then you can just watch the full recaps of the live streams on there. So head on over, leave a like, subscribe, and whatever. If you're interested in gaming, we got something cooking there as well. But Lachlan, without further ado, let's get into the stuff that we've been watching this week.
Hey.
Yes?
Do you know who's directing The Front Room?
Is it someone I should know?
Robert Eggers' brother. Or brothers.
Oh, wait. Yeah. No. Okay, I think I heard about that, and I totally didn't connect it. It was The Front Room. Okay.
Yeah, so I just noticed that it was like Eggers, and I was like, oh shit, let me just see if they're related in any kind of way. And it like they're producing and writing credits, or writing credits on some of the other.
I think Robert also has a producing credit on this one, if I'm not mistaken. I read about that they're working on a film. I totally didn't connect it. It's this one though. Yeah, I guess it has me a bit more interested, but the trailer alone didn't really grab my interest that much, to be honest. But yeah, Lachlan, what have you been watching?
They're twin brothers. Sorry, I'm just reading through his fucking biography at this point.
Hey, the Eggers, they were in one egg.
They're twins, Max and
Eggers,
Sam.
true
All right,
Eggers.
cool. I had a bit of a week of watching things. Inside Out. Oh my god, I just realized something very, very ironic happened. Anyway, sorry. I rewatched Inside Out 2. Went and saw it in cinemas again, and it's a 3-star. Solid 3-star film. Had fun again. Was in a screening this time instead of 2. Or I think there's like 1 or 2 people in the first screening I watched. There was 1 billion children, and it was one of the worst experiences of my cinema going life, and I never hope I have to experience it ever again. But solid 3 stars. I watched The Boys. I've seen the first 3 episodes that have come out of The Boys, and I still think the show is good. I think that the show is getting a lot of shit at the moment for how hard it's leaning into the political stuff, and how hard it's not going in how crazy and outlandish like the previous seasons have been. And I honestly think it's okay, because I know that they probably want to do one more season. I think they want to do one more season after this, so they have the opportunity to go to a height. But they are building something really cool in this season so far, and I'm excited to see where they go. And I think it's okay. They don't have to have this ridiculous sort of, superhero orgy scene and all the crazy shit that has happened in The Boys, right? Like the going inside and then expanding. The show has had its moments, and it's had those crazy what the fuck's happening moments. And you still have to remember the show has a narrative to tell, so it should try to progress that narrative. And if they want to progress that narrative, it does make sense that there has to be some slower episodes. And it's not like nothing has happened in the first couple episodes, but I do agree it's not as crazy, but I still am enjoying it. I still think the show's on a good heading right now.
They just had episode 4 come out yesterday. I watched it right before we hit record. And to me, it's like not going in a good direction, to be honest. I feel like the main plot with Sage, I'm not a fan of this new addition of characters that we get. And I feel like it feels repetitive. It feels like it's doing redundant things and doesn't have intriguing storylines this season. I thought the Soldier Boy stuff in last season was way more interesting. And the stuff they do with Homelander is still kind of crazy, and it's escalating, but that's the only thing that's really intriguing because his scenes are always kind of terrifying. And they still keep at that, but even that is to a lesser extent as he goes more crazy. But yeah, we'll do like a series review once it wraps.
And then the Acolyte has had some episodes come out, and
people were not happy with our review. I feel like yeah. I think it's the first video that has way more dislikes than it has likes on it. People were talking shit in the comments. And yeah, they weren't happy with us reviewing it, with us not just like saying we completely hate it. And it's a bit frustrating because we share the same sentiment of frustration of what's not good about it. But people just like, I went back to that first trailer that released. It has so many fucking dislikes. It's crazy. And it's like, if you're not consuming the thing, you're just hating it for existing. What are we doing? Like, why Star Wars doesn't even exist? Why do we make new stuff if it's just that type of shit? And I got really frustrated with the fan base.
I was more positive on the first 2 episodes compared to yourself. And since then, I wanted to hold my frustrations because we obviously had 2 episodes coming out by a very well-known director, creator, and...
Kogonada, I mean, you mean?
Kogonada, sorry. Who did I say? Creator? Wrong one.
Kogonada, yeah.
Whoopsies. Kogonada.
Whoopsies. Well, he did one. He's doing episode 7. He did episode 3. So the latest one, the 4th one, wasn't by Kogonada.
Wasn't him. But we've still got that other one coming up, and
maybe another flashback.
I didn't want to go, yep, this sucks, before consuming a bit more of potentially good storytelling and good. Possibly like every season has its ups and downs, right? And so
you thought the same thing about House of the Dragon. You know, you were like, "Oh, Rings of Power is better in the first couple than House of the Dragon,"
and then it switched that one around.
We were maybe a bit more premature to upload a review for that, but yeah.
No, I don't think so. I think that there is a series of people who are just hating the Acolyte for it being the Acolyte, and I think the problem is. Some people don't like it for particular characters and particular way things are said. And then there are other people who like Star Wars the way that it is and are hating those people. And that's the conflict there. But there is actual criticism that should be done here. And I think, first of all, the dialogue is atrocious. The dialogue is really, really cringy. And it's a hard thing to define what is cringe, but it just seems to be like in the most recent episode, it starts off with Osha leaving, and she talks to the young Padawan, and it's like, gonna miss me, huh? And it's like, you're not really friends at this stage. You haven't really had that friendship to develop, so it seems very, very rushed, and that's a problem with the writing. The thing is, the Sith looks really cool, and I really want the Sith to be cool. And the ending of that episode where he went, I was like so hyped, and then it cut, and I was like, come on. I just want... So part of me doesn't want this to be shit. Part of me just really wants good Star Wars for the first time in a while, and I probably shouldn't have been holding my breath, but like, I just want some good Star Wars. I want some good lightsaber fights. I want good, bad. I don't want this morally grey shit. Like, come on, fuck off with your morally grey Jedis, even though some of them are really cool, like Ahsoka and Qui-Gon, but whatever. The Acolyte has just disappointed me all of a sudden. And I said I was at like a 7, and I think I'm now with you where I'm like at a 5, at a 6, depending on the episode. Because like you can tell what have you given it
the last
now?
cup for the first 2 episodes I gave it a 5 and then a 6. And then for episode 3, I gave it a 4. And then this latest one was a 3 to me. I fucking hated it. I thought it was like really bad. The thing that I'm the one who's known for hating on kids when they're bad at performing. I'm sorry, those 2 kids in episode 3, it's just that being from Kogonada like extra hurt for me. I was like, he had Alan Kim in After Yang. Oh no, wait, sorry, confusing it. That's Minari. That other we both did it. We both had a racist moment.
We both did it.
Which is, I guess, it's fitting for the Acolyte with the backlash that is just purely based on fucking anti-woke racist shit. Yeah. But I feel like that kid in After Yang also stood out as not being the best performer at times, but her genuine like, I don't know, that kind of worked the same as it worked for Alan Kim in Minari. It doesn't work in Star Wars. When the dialogue is this goofy, it is so weird. And the way that they reference the events that happen in episode 3, and like, ooh, this is this big looming thing. And then we see it happen, which is not something you do if you don't have something concrete to build to. And you're like, they have these very like made up minds about what happened. And then when you watch it, it's like, why would you think it's clear that one of them is dead? Like, it doesn't seem that way at all. They just come off as really dumb, stupid characters. And that's the most disappointing thing. And I like the Sith being like, ooh, he's a big old force, and or they are. I don't know what the agenda is going to be, which is going to make those even matter, even the anti-woke. But the way that just Osha also just stands there as the Sith approaches is so, it's I don't know, something about it is just like all of the direction. It's just like, what is happening? It's so bad. I'm perplexed. It's really disappointing. But
is Star Wars dead?
You were saying so. At least for a while, it should be dead. Because I feel like the real hype that The Force Awakens had when we came back, people were excited, and I feel like even if it's just a lot of it was nostalgia and retreading beats, they were done well. And we've gone so far off the path of the quality of A Force Awakens. It's baffling to me that it just they're not hitting. None of them, apart from Andor.
Shame.
Really, nothing is working.
I was gonna say I was actually quite happy that the Acolyte had some very shot on locations in it, which is crazy to think that. Like, there are obviously scenes that take place on the 3D soundstage with the lighting and stuff, but in this most recent episode, there is obviously some shot on location moments. And I think that to have a Star Wars movie like Andor, or TV show like Andor, do shot on location kind of make it seem like it's a doable thing, this show wasting money on stuff that they could have invested back into giving writers more money so that they could... Wait, when was this written? Who wrote... Let's hang on. IMDb.
Who wrote The Acolyte?
Who's got the writing credits? Leslie Headland? Is that who we have to blame? Leslie Headland?
Well, she did Russian Doll, which I quite liked. So, yeah, I don't know. I feel like it's more of a Star Wars.
Oh my god, The Acolyte's a 3.4 on IMDb. Holy shit.
I know, and I've seen some posts online because it got me intrigued that like how much it was hated. I feel like there was also backlash with Hitman, because our Hitman review also has like the same amount of dislikes that there's likes, and I'm just I feel like a lot of people were also, I don't know what was it, maybe it was was that the one where I had like a really terrible intro? I might have had it might have been that one. I don't know what the hating is all about. This last week is
hang on. The latest
people.
episode has Core and Claire Kitchell or Kitchell, whatever her name is, as the writers of this episode, and they have also written the OA, and they were also written by for Watchmen, and then Core wrote Mr. Robot. What the fuck? Hang on, which episodes of Mr. Robot?
Again, I feel like going down this path, like writers are usually not really shit if they get like this type of gig. I feel like it's more a studio issue ultimately when it comes down to like how much control they have over the Star Wars brand, which is why they always clash with the creators as well, and they sign on directors, announce that they're going to do something, and then just like trying to quietly part ways when it doesn't come together.
I don't know what to believe anymore. Can someone end this simulation and start another one, please?
Let's cue it up. What else did you watch this week, Lachlan?
I also watched House of the Dragon, episode 1 to 4. I'm not going to say much in here because we have a separate thing coming where we can talk more about it. But I must say, episode 2 is my highlight. It is very dialogue heavy, but it is absolutely a fantastic episode. And I think it's probably my favorite episode of TV that I have seen this year, possibly.
Okay.
Don't quote me on that one just yet, but I actually had a really good time watching that. But so far, positive vibes for season 2.
Yeah.
Also, 2 more DVDs. Look at these bad boys. Love Lies Bleeding. Perfect Days.
Damn.
Ayo.
He's got
Ayo.
perfect boy for perfect day.
And last thing, because we talk about games, I've finished Metal Gear Solid 2. I said something earlier where it was going to be like, it's a bit ironic, but halfway through playing Metal Gear Solid 2, my game file corrupted, which means I had to restart and speed run the first half of the game again. And now seeing my hard drive here fail, what's going to fail on me next?
You left the space there for a joke, but I'm not going to make one because that's
Thanks, man.
Truly tragic. Yeah, that sucks. But at least it's a great game that you've played before and you replayed it. So
yep.
How far along did you get? Was it like you were like halfway through, or?
Essentially, I was about halfway through.
I still got to get through those. I still got to get to the Metal Gear Solid games. Looking forward to them. But again, with that new gaming channel, I might make time to revisit some older titles that I have and justify it by like recording. It's like, okay, I'm doing this now and I'm doing it and I'm not doing anything else, because it's really easy for me to get distracted and watch like a couple other films that I feel like are relevant for this show. If I do another thing that's also, a new branch of what we do, then hopefully I'll get to those games at some point. Speaking of like watching too much, I watched a bunch of stuff this week, as I always do. And instead of just talking about everything in detail, yada yada, I'll just give you like a top or flop essentially of what I watched. And if you want to hear more of my thoughts, maybe I'll have like a review out for it at some other place. But for now, this is just basically, hey, recommendation or don't watch it, I guess. First, we had the documentary Brats. I'd say that was a flop. Federer, 12 Final Days, really engaging documentary about the Swiss tennis player. Top on that pod. Under Paris, a Netflix film about a shark under Paris. That's a big old flop. Ultraman Rising, also on Netflix, an animated film. That was surprisingly good. I didn't expect it to be that good, and it actually was pretty fun. So that gets a top. The Strangers, Chapter 1. Caught up with it now that it's on VOD. It's horrible. It's so bad. So that's a big old flop. And then Presumed Innocent, I'm kind of in between. I have seen all but the final episode. I think it's starting to premiere now over the next couple of weeks. I'd say like I'm somewhere in between. If you like Jake Gyllenhaal though, like you do, Lachlan, I think it's still worth checking out, but I'm not 100% sold on it. And then lastly, another Apple TV Plus show that has wrapped, and I got around to watching it as well, with Dark Matter. I can very much recommend. It's about the same as I'd say with Presumed Innocent when it comes to quality. It's like a 6.5 out of 10. But tackling the multiverse in a true unique way after Everything Everywhere All at Once, so none of the like superhero stuff in this is actually quite intriguing. So if you're interested in that, then go give that a try. And then the films that I have a bit more to say on is I Used to Be Funny. That's with Rachel Sennett, and was a really surprisingly really well-made movie. I gave it a 4.5 out of 5. Maybe slightly overrated it there, because that's a really high rating, for me. I don't often rate stuff that high, but it's about a young stand-up comedian who we get thrown into her life, and we don't really know why she's kind of taken herself out of her community in a way where she's not performing stand-up anymore. And we slowly get to learn more about the last 2 years and what has happened when she was a nanny. And there's a missing girl on the news, and she has to make her mind up if she's going to help find that girl, because she has the connection to her. And it kind of unfolds, and there's some trauma that we have to work through with the character. And Rachel Sennett is incredible in this role. I think it was funny. I think it had it was a great drama. And when you pack in people who are very comedically capable, then I feel like that's always why comedians transition quite nicely into drama roles, is when they can have the dramatic chops, but then they have like this little breaks in between where they're actually funny people and engaging people and charismatic people. And it makes the whole thing a bit more engaging, even if it's a bit of a downer overall on the subject matter. I Used to Be Funny is out on VOD, and I'd definitely recommend it. Then Fancy Dance, last week, I think I said something wrong. I said it's out same time Apple TV Plus as well as it is in theaters. I think it's going to take like another week or two until it actually is on Apple TV Plus, but I can very much recommend it. This one, like I Used to Be Funny, both played at the Sundance Film Festival a year ago in 2023. And this is about like a sister's disappearance of with Lily Gladstone in the lead, and she has to take care of her sister's daughter, but she has a bit of a rough past where she's been in trouble with the law, and now it's kind of there's a threat that her niece is going to be taken away from her, and she just wants to first of all figure out what happened to her sister, and she's pretty sure she's dead. She just wants to figure it out and also shield her niece and take care of her, and it's a really engaging, neat drama that I can recommend. And then lastly, The Beast. I missed this one in Venice last year because it was the one morning when I got sick, and now it's finally out on VOD, so I got to catch up with it in Lea Seydoux, George McKay, in this bizarre film that jumps around in time a bunch. So it's like about the concept of a future where emotions are deemed as a threat. I gotta say, I didn't fully get the concept of this one. So they travel back in time, and it's about like the eternity of love, or maybe a connection. And it jumps all around the first half. And in the second half, we are more locked in with a certain few characters. And the one by George McKay is like a not a content creator, but he's an incel who makes like videos, and he's on the verge of maybe doing something dramatic. I feel like it's super interesting. The imagery that it creates, the performances that it gets out of the cast, but I was a bit confused more than I was engaged by it. I still gave it a 3.5 out of 5 though. I think it's worth checking out, and maybe you'll make more out of it than I do. But yeah, Lachlan, that's what I watched, and let's get to an interesting film that made rounds at the Sundance Film Festival earlier this year with I Saw the TV Glow.
Two teenagers bond over their love of a supernatural TV show, but it is mysteriously cancelled. That's it. That's it.
I went with that one. There's a longer one, I think, on Letterboxd. I like how it doesn't really tell you much about the plot of this one, because I feel like it doesn't really need more than that, because once you are in the film, it's very much easy to see what the core of this film is going to be. You don't need to 100% understand it and make sense of it the whole time. It's more of a feeling that it captures. And director Jane Schoenbrun had another film playing at Sundance, I think, in 2021, which was the first year that I did it. I think it's the first year that I did it. I didn't really love her first feature, and some other people ended up really loving this one. I might be more in the same line. Like, this has been getting like raving reviews. When it comes to the ratings, though, you notice a pattern. That on Letterboxd it's a 3.7, on Metacritic it's an 85, but on IMDb it's a 6.1. And I feel like it has less to do with the content of the film, or maybe partly with the content of the film, and more the bigotry of hatred that is thrown against the identity of the filmmaker, which is another really sad thing to see, because I feel like this movie otherwise wouldn't be sitting just barely above a 6 on IMDb. But that platform is just that's why, like, I never pay attention to IMDb, because I feel like it's a pretty shit platform for the people that tend to use it compared to Letterboxd. But it had a budget of $10 million, which is a bit high for a film like this, a smaller film, produced by A24, by the way. But it was kind of going through troubles during the COVID pandemic. I think they started shooting or production in 2021. So it took a while for them to actually get everything filmed. Comes in at a runtime of just 100 minutes on the dot. And like I said, it's been received pretty positively. It's out on VOD now. You can buy it on premium VOD. For a lot of international markets, it's not getting a release date. I don't know if it's going to be playing in theaters in Australia. It certainly isn't in Switzerland. There's one festival that's going on early in July that's going to have it screened there. So if you are in that area, go check out the Neuchâtel International Film Festival, I think is what it's called. So it only had a gross of $4.6 million on the American US-based box office. So it hasn't really made a return yet, but by selling international rights, that's usually how A24 makes back the production budget. And likely going to be not that big a return for this type of film, but I feel like we got an art piece in the process of it. So I feel like we're not gonna talk much about this film in non-spoilers, because I don't think there's that much to say that there's obviously a bunch of stuff that you can spoil in it, but like I said in the intro, it's about the vibe, the feeling that we get. And did you connect with that sort of feeling it was going for?
Yeah, I totally did. I said in the intro that you feel nostalgic in this film, and I
Yeah.
think anyone a little bit older than us, maybe in their 30s, could possibly find this film quite nostalgic, but I don't think anyone younger, like much younger than us, maybe like 4, 5, 6 years younger than us,
Yeah.
would possibly find this film that nostalgic, because I like, even without looking into the themes of the film, just wanting to go and watch, a TV show that you saw with these rose tinted glasses when you were younger, right? That you look back on, right? And then you go and rewatch it and you
Mhm.
go, oh, this is a lot weirder and darker or dumber or whatever than it actually was, right?
Yeah.
Great example. I mean, I watched, plenty of cartoons that weren't really intended for children, but I watched them when I was younger, and I definitely kind of thought, oh geez, when I got older, oh geez, like these are, made for kids, but they're not that childish, if that makes sense. Courage the Cowardly Dog is like one of my favorite examples of how terrifying a show can be, and it's terrifying as a kid, but it's still terrifying when you're older. They've done a good job making it. So
Mhm.
this film has a nostalgic feel to it, and that comes from not only just, them wanting to watch this TV show, or Owen just wanting to watch this TV show, but that comes down from just like the walking over to a friend's place to watch stuff with them,
Mhm.
right? Sneaking out. I don't know what kids do these days. That's kind
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
similar to this, because it all seems to be like it takes place online more than anything else. And there's
Mhm.
no need to kind of like sneak. I remember when I was younger, I would like sneak out, turn on the TV really late at night and watch stuff on mute. No volume, just mute, watching cartoons. And now there's no
Mhm.
need to sneak out, because you've got it in the palm of your hand. You can just look at it
Yeah.
and go, this is, I can watch it here, I can watch it anywhere. So there's no risk anymore. And it's a weird thing to open up this review with, but that entire time it was just giving me really good nostalgic feelings of my childhood, growing up in
Mhm.
early 2000s. And for me, if we start to talk about the actual film itself, everything from the visuals to the audio, when it comes to sound design, there is plenty of uncomfortable moments where they play staticky sounds that make you feel uncomfortable, as if it was like nails on a chalkboard. Even though nothing terrifying is happening on screen, you feel uncomfortable. There's plenty of really cool moments that use strong lighting. There's scenes that take place in basements where there's a fish tank that gives you greens, or there's like fantastic light shows taking place on like a star map, and a character monologues for 5-10 minutes just on just what seems like the most randomest thing, and you're kind of sitting there and
Yeah.
you're
Yeah.
going, what are they even talking about? If you come into this film
Mhm.
blind, you just like, you kind of get the idea of the themes, and you kind of like, and if you don't get it, you're kind of just gonna sit there going, what the fuck are you rambling on about? And then you walk away from the film, you do a quick Google search, and you go, people are hating it because those are the themes. And then you go back and rewatch the film, which is what I did, and you go, my god, this film's sick. Like you
Yeah.
like the
Yeah.
entire time, like they're monologuing about feelings, and how they, and like the claustrophobia, and their identity, and you're kind of just sitting there the first time going, you're just rambling at this point. But then you watch it a second time, you're like, no, you're clawing for help. You're asking for something to just go right in your life because you feel like an alien in what is the real world, and you have to break away from it and create your own to feel comfortable. And this film is just fantastically good at creating the vibe, and we keep saying vibes, but everything from, as I said, visually, audibly, the soundtrack is fantastic. There are multiple times I've got a shortcut on my phone that lets me Shazam whenever. So I don't think I've ever shown you this, Ewan, but on my iPhone you can have different like do not disturb modes, and I've got one which is called movie, and I'll usually have it on so that if I'm watching a movie, I can press this button on the side here and it lets me either log a film, add a film to the watch list, or Shazam, so that if I hear a song in a movie, I can Shazam it and save it for later. And I multiple times through this film Shazammed it, and I was like, I'm just going to save the soundtrack at this point because the soundtrack is also fantastic. I think Phoebe Waller-Bridges, or Phoebe, not Phoebe.
There's at least
Phoebe
one.
Bridges is on it.
Phoebe Bridges, yeah. There's at least one song from her in there, and there's also Caroline Polachek was in the. I don't see Phoebe Waller-Bridge. No, she's in the the last one. I think it's the outro song.
The Claw Machine. Yeah.
That's it stands out. It closes the film with that, but
this film just nails its feeling on the head, and has done such a fantastic job crafting it that when I first watched it, I knew I was watching something special. I couldn't look away, and I was just having such a fun time. And this is the ultimate compliment that I could give to someone. And it was like I said, my last note was, this is some David Lynch level surrealism. Like, this is some wacky, not non-linear, but like weird narrative things happen for no reason, crazy, like visually, like like the Ice Cream Man is a terrifying creature that you could definitely see popping up in a Lynch film, randomly sticking your head into the TV, crazy visually spark. Like, I could definitely see some Lynchian vibes coming from this film, and that is ultimately like one of the best compliments I could give to someone, being like, I feel like this is just not copying Lynch's stuff, but being influenced by the surrealist works of people in the past, and that's a great way of telling a narrative story without having to just lay it on someone as blankly as I feel like this. You layer it with imagery and whatnot. So I had a fantastic time, if you couldn't tell, which is why at first I gave it 4.5 stars.
Are you coming down on those 4.5 stars, or
we'll get to it? I want to hear what you think.
To it. Yeah, I'm a bit lower than that. I really wanted to rewatch this one, so I feel like what you're saying here with Lynch is actually a great point, and it can kind of make sense of maybe what I felt with her first two films. I feel like she has a bright future ahead of her on her directing style. I think she's really honed in on a voice, and that's great to have. I just didn't connect with the first one that she made, and I feel like it does this like that better in this one. And I'm happy to be like really wrong and revisit her first film and this one and like it more than I did on my first time around. But what to me was really interesting, and I thought it would go in more into that like on a narrative sense than it is just on a vibes level, is how much they get sucked into the worlds of what they're watching, that their lives are so intertwined that they're not really that they don't really have like their own identity, because I feel like it at parts goes into that, but then it doesn't stay with that, because ultimately I feel like it goes into a better direction with trying to just not making sense of something that you can't really make sense of, because then you're really reducing it like what I felt is sometimes in a film, or when you have an idea maybe for an own your own story that you want to tell, it's like, okay, here's my idea. There's no way for me, all of the feelings that I have about this, to capture it in a way where you can translate it into a movie that's 100-minute long and get actors to portray what I felt and to communicate that. And I think this is one of those movies where they really succeeded at getting as close to it as that's possible, to sort of share that sentiment. And like from the interviews that I watched with Jane, she's also talked about that a bunch, that like it feels so rewarding that a lot of people connect and see the same thing that or feel the same thing that she felt. And it's another really hard thing to do. It's like sometimes are these unspoken truths of stuff that we all feel, but there's no way to describe it. There's no way to share how you feel, and then there's just media that connects you to it. And in the same way that this does it for actual people, it's what happens with these characters in the film, where they connect through that reality that they would rather accept as their own more than their own lives that they're living. And that's just a really interesting concept. And then visually, this movie, like you said, is stunning. Soundtrack is great. I like all the bits in between that is obviously like the show that they watch isn't like perfect. You can see that they're like only someone who actually is a kid and is watching something because it's like something new that could be fascinated by it. Otherwise, it's like really pretty bad TV probably overall. Yeah, to find the meaning in all of that. I just thought it was building more towards something that I would really have a big reaction to. And usually, hey, when a movie has like 4.5 stars, it probably made me cry. And this one didn't. There was like this one thing that just like it was missing to get me over the edge. So yeah, I don't really have that many thoughts because I feel like I should definitely revisit it, and I didn't make the time for the review today. But maybe we could jump into spoilers and talk about what happens later on, which I wasn't expecting. The focus that it takes in the second half or in the last third of the film. Like, do you have like spoilers from here? Do you have any thoughts on the time jump, the 8 years?
Yep. So from that point, so we're talking like.
I mean, you can tie it together, but like maybe in the lead up of, I guess, the actual story that it tells. I feel like you said already a bunch of the stuff about like the first half of the film in a kind of non-spoiler way.
Yeah, sure. I guess if we want to talk narratively, the big thing is obviously our main character, Owen, played by Justice Smith. There is a younger Owen, Ian Foreman plays him. There's a time jump from 2 years later to 8 years later. So I think it was like 40 years later or something like that. I can't remember exactly the time jump that was.
Oh, at the very end there?
The film.
Yeah.
With that,
I forget if it says.
One of the things that took me out was old Justice Smith, with how not great the makeup looked for aging him, but I got it. I understood the limitation. I mean, $10 million to make a movie. Come on,
I felt like that was intentional there, right? For it to be like to have that sort of fakeish vibe towards the end there.
Yeah.
But maybe it wasn't. I don't know.
Yeah. But for me, the first part where they sort of meet back up again, Maddie and Owen, and after Maddie has sort of, and again, spoilers from here on out, has disappeared, that reintroduction of Maddie is terrifying. Just cut to her standing in the middle of a shopping, like, grocery store.
Basically almost T-posing.
Yeah, I was like, wow, they're just standing right there. And that was terrifying to then cut into what was almost like a music video, which, again, I love that shit. We're halfway through a movie. It's just like, we're going to do a music video segment where we play a bit of the song, and it kind of builds this extra sort of different vibe. Like, you definitely know you're at a bar now, and then it's sort of like a heart-to-heart with the background song going on. And for me, you then get a lot more dialogue happening in the second half compared to the first, because Owen is a little bit more coming out of his own shell. And the second half is definitely where you get a lot more monologue, because Maddie, played by Bridget Lundy Payne, they do a fantastic job delivering this character and going through these lines in a monotone way, but not monotone, if that makes sense. Maddie is clearly affected by this outside world that she has entered, the dream reality state wherever they're in. Maddie has understood that she has exited that reality and she's back in, so it's kind of messed with her. Owen is, visibly confused and shocked, and if I'm honest, Justice Smith does a fantastic job with the, again,
it's perfect role for him, right?
Yeah, the character doesn't give that much emotion, and that is exactly what the character needs to give, but at the same time, you know when he's afraid, you know when he's terrified, you know when he's confused, intrigued. He performs quite well, and for me, those two really hold your hand through the entire thing and you enjoy it. But you then get a much weirder music track after that, and then the next moment that I remember is sort of like the weird cuts to the actual pink opaque show, which were really intriguing to watch with how fucked up they actually got.
Yeah.
Which was, again, a really fun thing to do. But the next sort of moment for me was the big monologue that Maddie has underneath the sort of tent with all the stars and stuff. That was just, for me, I was just enthralled with it the entire time. And that's the film. The film, it cuts between conversation, the pink opaque narrative, the pink opaque being the show that they're obsessed with, narrative, and you're following that. So that's where I get the non-linear vibes coming from, because you're essentially following the narrative of the show throughout the entire thing as well, because you don't get the ending of the show at the start, even though it ends or whatever, but you see other episodes, and it's all bright and cuddly and whatnot. And as the show progresses on, and as Maddie and Owen's life go on, the show gets more and more fucked up. And I guess that then you start seeing it from a less rose-tinted glasses all the way up to the end.
What do you think about the ending part when he's on streaming and the show has become like something completely different? And I don't know if he straight up says it's a remake or if it's that he just remembered it differently. I found that a really funny bit at the end there.
Well, what were we talking about earlier with the whole most successful movies and stuff is just sequels and spin-offs and whatnot.
Remakes.
And direct to streaming is a really funny joke actually. And I swear it looked very much like Netflix as well. With the streaming part.
It had an interesting look it was going for. That's why it feels, it's obviously very cerebral and almost over the top. I don't know how to describe it. I wouldn't say it's fantasy, but it almost feels that way in parts. It wouldn't be sci-fi. I don't know how to categorize this type of film. I feel like inspirations from David Lynch is a great descriptor for the film. And that's one of the moments where that really comes out. I like the shots when they are actually in the pink opaque and you see them, like a shot that was earlier there when those two lead characters, so Tara and Brenda, I think it is, right? They walk in a forest, and then it's Maddie and Owen who are walking there, and those kind of transitions. And for usually what's difficult to do is capturing a show within a film in a way that it doesn't feel like the show only exists in the moments that are shown in the movie.
Yep.
And for this, it's the whole thing is about wanting to live in that world inside of it. For that, I would have liked to see a bit more of the actual show of the pink opaque. That's one criticism that I always tend to have with these type of there's another thing within the thing, because it never feels truly real. But it's also something that is hard to, I guess, place, because usually when you start watching a series, sometimes it takes a while for you to get immersed into the world, and it feels really strange at first glance. And when you go in and out of watching something in the context of someone else watching it with a movie that has a different style to itself, then maybe that's my fault for not seeing it through how the characters would view it. Sorry if that was confusing, but I had a lot of thoughts with this one. I think it's so interesting. And I really love that a lot of people are seeing themselves so much in this and can get that much out of it. What I find the most interesting part about it is, I said this, I guess, before already, is like how obsessed you can get with something, that it isn't really your own identity, that you'd rather live in other worlds. And I can relate to that. If you look at my last watched and you looked at my diary on Letterboxd, I spend a lot of times in fictional worlds within movies. That concept, exploring that in cinematic form is super intriguing, but I can't really relate with obsessing over a single thing so much. So maybe that's where it lost me a bit, but ultimately a big old recommendation on my end as well. I don't really have much else to say. Lachlan, do you have anything else that you'd wanted to bring up?
No, I kind of hit my notes mostly. Love the vibe.
And I unfortunately just don't have that much to say, yeah. It's just a film where, I don't know, I feel like what I ended up saying was already yapping quite a bit. I don't know if I got to... It's hard to describe beyond just,
Did you hate the fourth
I like
wall
what
breaks?
it's going for.
Because I feel like you would have hated the fourth wall breaks.
Wait, I actually can't remember what specifically was the fourth wall. Was it the
Like,
opening?
there are moments where Owen sort of narrates what's happened.
The narration.
And then
I think...
Maddie
wait, let me
does a
look in my
similar
notes.
thing. Because I when the fourth wall break happened for me, I was like, okay, cool, fourth wall break. They're very popular right now. But I also remember going, I think Ewan's not going to like that. I don't think Ewan's going to.
I think there's one at the end that I didn't like. That was like him telling the story of basically where he's at in his life later on.
Where he gets the TV.
At the very end.
Yeah. Oh, right at the end.
I think it's all right. Right. I think when it's like the bigger, like longer time skip when he has his own family. We don't really see much of him there, I think. And the movie also opens, I think, with voiceover. It's been a week since I've seen it, so like that's my bad for seeing it too early. And then again, I wanted to rewatch it. And I know it didn't stand out to me. I don't see it in my notes. I have quite a few notes for this one, but I didn't write down that I disliked the voiceover. So
okay.
I think it's fine. It's fine. It didn't really bother me, but it's not like something that I would praise, saying, "Oh, this is great voiceover." I don't know if I've ever done that. But yeah, rating wise, I feel like I'm right between a 3.5. Seems kind of harsh to rate it that, to be honest, which just goes to say that this movie is certainly worth seeing. It'd be somewhere in between that and a 4. Lachlan, what about you?
So I gave it a 4.5 on my first watch, but I rewatched it and I gave it a 5.
Oh, damn. Okay, that good. So ranking it, does it rank? So yeah.
Loved it. I loved every moment of it. I loved the rewatch of it. I might even see if Tanika would like to rewatch it tonight. Would like to watch it with me tonight. Because I am absolutely raving about this film. I think that it does something really special with the feeling of it. That I don't think any of the other movies that I've seen this year do. Like, Dune nails so much, but it never really gets that feeling. I said that in my review as well. It's like it doesn't have the same scale and feeling as Dune 1. Challenges is more of a... It doesn't have that feeling either. It's more like an energy film. Furiosa, same thing with the energy. Civil War never has that moment for me. Hitman never had that moment for me. Planet of the Apes didn't have that. The only other film that I could think has the feeling thing nailed down would possibly be either Sasquatch Sunset or Evil Does Not Exist. Those are the only other films that I could think that are 2024 films that made me go, yeah, this film's got a good feel to it, a good vibe to it. But yeah, this nailed it. 5 stars.
I really want you to go check out We Are All Going to the World's Affair then, because it's not that different from this film in the way that it this is more about like someone obsessing over TV, and it's more about like that generation that basically we are on the verge of being in, but maybe we are the younger side of that generation. Yeah. And We're All Going to the World's Fair is like maybe a bit closer to our age, where someone is obsessed more with technology, like filming themselves, like vlogs, online presence, a bit more of that. And if you're vibing with Jane's filmmaking style, then you might really enjoy that one too. Cool. I'm actually inclined to, just for the double feature for you, I guess, make We're All Going to the World's Fair that one to pick. I do have a different one though. David Cronenberg's Videodrome, which is another film obsessed with TVs and all sort of that imagery. I feel like it's a fitting double feature pick.
I like it.
Yeah. Yeah, Lachlan, what about you?
I'm going to be recommending Mulholland Drive to people. After seeing this, it really made me want to go watch a Lynchian film. Mulholland Drive is fantastic. You see yourself on the screen. Movies. I saw the TV Glow's got a screen in it. Yeah, that's my pick.
It does. Yeah, does make sense. That makes sense. I still haven't seen Mulholland Drive. But
Definitely should.
Yeah, I definitely got to get to it. Then out new this week, we got Horizon: An American Saga, the first part of Kevin Costner's Western epic that he spent a whole bunch of his own money on. I didn't have the greatest time catching it in Cannes, but now it's out in the States. It has no release date for Switzerland, and then on the 4th of July, it will be out in Australia. So we'll report back once I get you into your butt into a seat. And yeah, we'll talk about Western. And we do currently have a plan to maybe talk a bit more about Westerns, but more on that, I guess, in a couple of weeks. We might have a project in between those two Horizon films. Then I guess we got to revisit A Quiet Place, or maybe we don't, because this one is a prequel with A Quiet Place a Day One from the director of Pig. We are getting a more action-filled movie led by Lupita Nyong'o. That's going to be our main focus of next week. Then Janet Planet, the A24 film, expands into theaters wide, and then Blue Lock, the movie, comes just in time for the European Cup being on. I'm not watching it, but apparently we tied yesterday, Switzerland and Scotland, and I'm both Scottish and Swiss, so that felt great because like both of my teams didn't lose. So yeah, I find soccer or football pretty boring. I'm still watching NHL, and it's been exciting. The final is still going on. By the time this episode comes out, there might already be a winner, but it's a really, really interesting saga that we got playing out there. But if you want anime in football form, then Blue Lock, the movie episode Nagi, will be out in certain theaters. Then out in limited release, we got Dakota Johnson in Daddy-O. We got the Japanese Netflix animated film The Imaginary, and Last Summer, which is a film that Lachlan, you missed last year in Cannes, but I watched it, and I think it was kind of interesting. It had like a relationship where it was like an affair between a mother and a really young guy. I think he's like 16 or 17, and obviously, you know, those type of themes, the French, they do it quite sexually and overtly, and tackling that like a really controversial topic in an interesting way. So I can recommend Last Summer if it's playing anywhere near you. And then the only big release on digital this week that I wrote down is the 4th season of The Bear that doesn't start airing. It airs all of its 8 episodes in one go. So hopefully before we record next week's episode, we'll go on a binge of that season. I wrote down the 4th season of The Bear, but it's only the 3rd season, unless you just skip ahead on one season.
Why not?
Yeah, no special releases, unfortunately, for Switzerland or Australia to highlight. Again, for some reason, we just are getting a couple of movies late. Maybe they think that in Australia, you guys really care about the European Cup, and that's why they delay a couple of the games. That's like sometimes what happens when the World Cup kind of delays box office. Usually doesn't happen with the European Cup, but it's going to happen for the next 2 weeks.
Yeah.
No one cares about football.
No, they do.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Soccer's a big...
Yeah, I find it unbearable.
Soccer's a big thing here.
I don't know if you're... Really? Okay, he's shitting me. I saw
No,
that.
I'm not. I'm actually not. So,
Really?
Australia is like...
They do care.
Soccer is pretty big. I mean, it's the biggest sport in the world, right? And Australia is very multicultural, and we get a lot of people here from overseas, and they love football because it's like the world sport. And like AFL, NFL, not NFL, NRL is quite big here, and like it's
Footy.
rugby, it's Australian football, sure, but like soccer is huge.
I just assumed that maybe the interest is not really that much there outside.
I know
of
3
Europe,
people
but
who have gone over to
wrong
see
way
it.
to go. That's crazy. Well, yeah, I hope they're having a good time. It's taking place in Germany, and it's, I think, happening until the beginning of July. And yeah, I think we're playing Germany before this episode comes out. So apparently someone told me we already advanced into the next round. And like, I had a funny work thing where on the night or like on the afternoon, I was working at the night. In the afternoon, Switzerland played. And they came in and were like, they wanted to chat with us about the game. And like, yada yada, I sold them tickets. And I told them like, oh yeah, I'm not interested in football. I didn't really follow it and whatever. Oh, okay. And then she managed like then she went on to like recap and talk to me as if I had watched the game and recapped stuff to me. I was like, I don't want to be polite. I really truly don't care. But that's that. I'm taking a hard stance on not liking football and going with hockey for representation's sake. But next week we are talking about A Quiet Place Day One. I hope you didn't leave a dislike because I dissed your favorite sport now, but we got enough of those and collected enough of those on our Acolyte review. But check out our other videos that come out in the meantime on the channel. There should be a review for the first 4 episodes of House of the Dragon out. By the time this comes out, only 2 are out, so that's a bit exciting. We got a look ahead at the upcoming weeks of that Game of Thrones spinoff. And go see I Saw the TV Glow. Stop my yapping, and I'll see you next week, all right? It's going to be a quiet place from now on. Well, I'm shutting up. Shh, we gotta be quiet. The monster's getting you. Goodbye.